In terms of the outcomes that you think people might get from the sessions, these experiences in the wilderness, and being on the barrier itself, what do you think might happen for the individual?
Well, my experience of people who are in mentoring or in sponsorship roles is that they attract people who are often quite fearful or needing support in major challenge. And if you are able to work with someone so that they can always be one step ahead of that, in terms of being able to take a risk, because the person coming to you will be taking a huge risk in trusting you, in wanting to be led by you in some way, shape or form, that to experience that at not only an intellectual level but at a sensory level will make your capacity for empathy and compassion exponentially that much greater, and consequently that much more effective. So
you think the event is specifically beneficial for people who are going to be sponsors or mentors to others?
That's a particularly cogent argument for its effectiveness, yes. I think that's where the work is. That's where it feels to me we can make the difference.
And having these experiences personally will then help people as they share similar sorts of experiences with others?
Absolutely. The strength of any mentoring or sponsorship role lies in previous experience and knowing the journeys and understanding something, although we can never be in somebody else's shoes fully, but to understand some of the risks and dramas in that and to be aware of your own response to it increases the capacity to respond to need.
So if I were coming out to your event, I would expect to be taken a little bit beyond what I'd experienced before and to feel somewhat on the edge of myself.
That's what we would hope to be. But on the edge excitedly rather than fearfully.
Having fun.
Yes, having fun. That's exactly what this is about.
So you said that there were going to be 5 sessions, Caroline, and what were the topics?
Well, just before I go into discussing those 5 sessions in a little bit more depth, what I'd like to add to what David has just said is the idea that by the time people leave the event, what we'd be hoping for each participant is not only have they gone to the edge of themselves, but they've also really reconnected with their centre, with their core. So they're kind of fully at home with themselves, but they've actually got some tender new spots that they can live into and feel like those are life-filled as well. And that's why we are going to offer these specific sessions. So the specific sessions that we're going to be offering are first of all acknowledging that people have travelled and in the journey will find themselves in a new place both physically and in an interior way. Because as David described earlier, that sense of being really focused so that everything that happens is brought into kind of sharp-edged reality, that experience can throw up, where am I really? And that's actually a very good question to ask, where am I now? Is a really good place to begin when we start to journey into where do I want to be. And then when we start to know where we actually are located, then the next question that might arise is what is urgent versus what is important, and how do we distinguish between those two things?
Which is a continual conflict in everyday life.
Mm. And that is the point about being in a place that has a spacious environment. So not only is it physically spacious, but the sounds are different than you would encounter in the city, but we're only half an hour away from a really busy, big city.
But the distractions aren't there.
That's right. That's exactly right. And then when we've come to that understanding about what is urgent versus important and made those decisions, the next thing that arises, what gets in the way of me being able to focus on that which is important? What gets in the way of me connecting with myself? What gets in the way of me connecting with the other? What gets in the way of me connecting with the things that I trust and expect to be really important?
So giving people some tools that they can bring back into life to to come back to that space that they've had on the barrier of being themselves and being without distractions.
That's right. What we hope to encourage people to find is a sense that they have an interior stillness and an interior core connection with that identity that they've found in this spacious place. But actually it's there in everyday life. And then once they've got that really strong sense of location, so they can say, well, where am I? And what is it that I see in this place now? Will take probably a little bit more time sitting with that identity of really how am I grounded? And then move on to the energy that gives me the ability to carry these things out. And that really will equip people to go back, to come home to where they really locate, but to have come home to their interior self as well. It's really important to give people time to, as they have that sense of really a core connection, to give people time so that they can take that with them, because dislocating people from all that they're doing in their lives, their families, their relationships, their work, that disconnection is not always helpful, and we're not seeking to disconnect, we're actually seeking to truly connect. It's quite a different energy.
So again, removing distractions and then being connected to what is true and helpful in the work that people are doing, and presumably also the play that people are doing.
Yes, that's right. And lightheartedness is sometimes a real relief for all of us. To be able to laugh at oneself and to wear life loosely is a really important quality, and can perhaps be most easily achieved by taking a step back from oneself and saying, how's that going? And do I feel comfortable? And where's my energy and my passion? And now that I understand that, I'll step into it fully. That's what we're really hoping to offer people.
And to cover in those 5 sessions.
Yes.
And with the one-on-one time that people will have access to with you, what may they discuss, perhaps?
Well, it's been my experience over the years that when people come into therapy or come to a workshop, it's to explore what it is that's disconnecting them, either from themselves or from other people. Whether they come because of a disconnection issue in relationship, in an emotional turmoil, or an addictive process. And they're looking to how to reconnect, first of all with themselves and then with the people around them. That the whole journey, I think it was Carl Jung who said that the journey is from alienation to connection to consciousness, and breaking the barrier sits right in that journey. That people come and they're separated from themselves, they're separated from their, what Caroline was describing as their core sense, and it's being able to reconnect with that, whilst at the same time, and this is when they come for private one-to-one, because they don't feel secure in allowing other people to see that yet. And when I'm working well as a therapist, I allow that, and it's safe. And I know that when Caroline works, that's exactly what happens. It's safe for someone to come and sit in a room and say, I don't know. And yet in their professional lives, they're experts. And that they come and they say, I don't know how to show my true self. It doesn't feel safe. And so the one-to-one work is those things will be thrown into sharp focus. And people will want a few minutes to one side to say, is it okay? How can I do this?
So giving leaders and mentors a chance to be vulnerable and
yes.
to be themselves led and mentored.
Yes. And then they become that much more competent because they know. And that is a most powerful thing, to know that it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to not know, And it's not an easy thing for either men or women to do, because we're all expected to somehow. There's always this strange sense that everybody else was issued a manual and I wasn't.
Why did I miss out?
Exactly.
Where is it?
Yeah, because everybody else seems to know and I don't, and it's simply not true. But that fear prevents them from attracting what it is they want. Everybody, the whole nature of humanity.
That sounds great. Thank you for that information.
Thank you, Rebecca.
That's right.